Hi friends, a very good afternoon to all of you. Friends, we have started our CMAT preparation from BYJU'S exam prep. We are coming to you with a lot of sessions as far as CMAT is concerned. And as a part of the drive, that initiative to help you guys get get the knowledge about what is required for CMAT, we have started this Innovation and Entrepreneurship session. So last year also we did this. We had a series of 6 sessions. This year also we're going to continue with about 6 or 7 sessions coming to you. So this is the first session here. This particular topic of entrepreneurship and innovation, or innovation and entrepreneurship, this was first introduced in the year 2022, that is last year. This did not exist before that. And last year, this section had a total of 20 questions, right? It had a total of 20 questions. So what was so special about this section? How is it different? I'll give you a basic perspective of that. Then I will give you some theory and I'm going to discuss some questions. Firstly, what you need to understand is this particular section, when we conducted these sessions last time, we were bang on target with respect to the questions we expected them to ask. Of the 6 sessions we conducted last year, we had, out of the 20 questions in CMAT, 16 questions came from the sessions that we took straight away. So we very well understood what was expected. So I'm sure we'll be able to do a very good job. My team has put together a very good PPT in terms of questions. So hopefully we'll be able to go through them and make sure that this year too you will be able to get the most benefit out of it. But let's start off. Firstly, what is this and how is it? First, let's understand the section. So this section about innovation and entrepreneurship basically asks you questions related to innovation in business. There are a lot of terminologies that you need to understand, terms that you need to understand, examples you need to understand so that the terms stick in your mind. And entrepreneurial, as an entrepreneur, what are the terms, what are the things that you need to get to know, what are the things you need to understand in the business world today. So that is basically what they're going to test. This is a theoretical MCQ. There is no calculation involved in this, purely theory. But then, does it mean it's like a GK? So that's the question. How is it different from GK? We're going to understand that. Is it different? Is it same? Why do we not call it as a part of general awareness? Why do we do it separately? Then what is the syllabus, of course, and some questions for today. So let's understand the first part. What is this? So as I said, this is a section testing the students' knowledge in the current scenario of entrepreneurship, right? They want to, so this involves technical terms. It will also involve certain questions related to startups. This is kind of GK, kind of theory, both, okay? Now, 20 questions, +4 and -1. You can't randomly mark. Of course, there is negative marking. So there is a plus mark, +4 and a -1 too. Then there are 3 types of questions you can come across. One is awareness questions. As I said, they can ask you, what was the first unicorn in India? The first company which was valued for 1 billion. What was such a company? They can ask you some question like that. That is awareness. Then they can talk about match the following. They can give you the founders of good startups and the startups all jumbled up and you're supposed to match them. That is a typical example. That could be a type of question. Or reason assertion. They can talk about reason assertion. In fact, I have 1 or 2 examples. I'll explain to you. It's when the question comes. I don't want to take up all the time explaining things right away. But in awareness, there is another type of question that can come. Not just GK. They can also ask you about terms. For example, if they say what is the meaning of sunk cost, and they'll give you 4 examples or 4 statements. Which of these statements actually give you the idea about sunk cost? So first of all, do you know the concept? So things like this. So these kind of questions make up your 20 section of 20 questions in your CMAT exam. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at how the first question. How is it different from GK? Is it different? First of all, my answer is in a way yes, in a way no. Let's understand why is it similar to GK and how is it different from GK too. Firstly, is it different from GK? I will say no, it is not different for the reason that while it is ultimately knowledge, but the knowledge is on specific area. General awareness is anywhere. I can ask you about Ukraine and Russia war. I can ask about cricket between India and Australia. I can talk about the T20 World Cup which is happening for women's cricket. Anything. But here we are talking about a specific area related to companies, business, startups, entrepreneurship, innovations, a little bit of accounts, a little bit about HR, a little bit about operations, a little bit about finance, a little bit about economics, but business related, right? Then yes, also I will say it is different from GK in a way. It is no, in a way it is yes. The reason why I'm saying it is yes is because concepts can also be tested. Okay, so if I'm saying that it is questions when what happened, that is GK, that is the reason why it is no. If I ask you concept related questions, for example, as I said in the sunk cost example, I'll give you 4 examples and I'll say which one corresponds to the concept of sunk cost. So that is not GK, that is application of it. So in that case I will say it is yes, it is different from GK. Both type of questions can appear. Good afternoon Ayush, Abhishek. So guys, I hope you will be there with me throughout these 5-6 sessions that we have planned so that you can ace the CMAT session. But before I go forward, I would request all of you to give me a like on this particular video, because if you like our videos, we will give you more and more videos, because that's a feedback, that's a direct feedback mechanism for us. The more likes we get, we will get to know that you guys are liking it, and we will come back to you with more videos. So do not forget to give me a like on this. Let's move on. Let's take a look at the syllabus, the topics to be covered in the entire journey of our CMAT. First, concept of innovation and management terminology. We are going to look at a lot of terms related to it. You have to by heart these terms, understand, by heart both, not just blindly by heart. Concept should be understood by you, as well as the term has to be by hearted by you. Second, the thing about innovation adoption life cycle. We are going to talk about the life cycle of innovation, what happens during its cycle. This is theory, all this is theory. You need to learn the theory part because questions come from this. Then there are 3 innovation management ideas we're going to talk about. There is a lot of theory which has been created in this side. Obviously, I can't teach you everything in 6 classes, but we will pick up the most important things as far as these theory parts go. So this is what we have. Then creativity and its simulation, we have creating entrepreneurial ventures, project management, terms related to project management, and then we finally have entrepreneurship and government, rules, regulations with respect to government, schemes with respect to government. In this current budget, what are the new schemes that have come up? All of these, especially for the last 4-5 years, there has been a lot of drive to help small businesses, startups in various ways. So we're going to look at all these government initiatives taken to help out the small and medium enterprises as well as your startups. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to cover. Obviously, everything cannot be done in a single class. We're going to take 5-6 classes to finish this. Okay, first starting with understanding the term called innovation. What is innovation? Now, I'm going to use a definition by one of the research firms, well-known research firms called Gartner. It basically is a consultancy and research firm, and it says innovation management is a business discipline that aims to drive a sustainable innovation process. The most important part is sustainable, okay, or culture within an organization. Guys, please understand that I can do something unique, but the question is, can it be done on a large scale and for a long duration? Innovation which cannot be expanded or which cannot be taken to a larger extent, larger scale, which cannot be implemented on a larger scale is of no use. Which means that as long as a company is small, this innovation will work, but once I go beyond a particular level, this is of no use to me. So it is useful only for a particular amount of time. So what we are looking at in innovation is sustainability and scalability, both. So the idea that you're talking about in a business should be able to grow along with the size of the company, the needs of the company, as well as the time. Oftentimes, these innovation management initiatives utilize a disruptive method to change. So we'll talk about what is the meaning of a disruptive method. Okay, so innovation and disruption, again, we're learning about new terms. I'm going to talk about the definition of these terms so that you get a clear clarity. Okay, and this can happen through a technology. It can happen through a new product, it can happen through a new process. Now you might be getting a bit confused about all these terms. So I'll give you examples to understand what each one is. So when you're talking about innovation management idea, so basically when you're talking about innovation, there are 3 ways in which this innovation can happen. First is incremental innovation. Simple to understand. Incremental means you already have something, you're slightly making it better than what it exists, what it is today. right? So you have a process, you have a product, you have an idea, you are running a business on it. You are basically building one layer on top of it, making it a little bit better, and you're going ahead with it. So that is called as innovation, yes, but it is called as incremental innovation. Remember the term, incremental innovation. I'll give you examples. The next is a breakthrough innovation. Breakthrough innovation is you are able to process something today, you are able to make a product today, but you have a new technology to do the same job. A new technology to do the same job. Such a thing is called as a breakthrough technology. It's completely new, the tech is new, the job is old, you're doing the same old job, but in a completely new fashion. Then finally you have disruptive. Now there is always a debate between these two. Sometimes people don't agree when I say something is not, when I mean I, it's not I am talking about, in general, in the discussion of professors and all, they tend to say, okay, is this disruptive, is this breakthrough? So there is clearly a little bit of gray area between these two. When do you call something disruptive, when do you call something breakthrough? That's a little bit hazy, but the whole idea for disruptive is something which did not exist before, we are bringing in. It did not exist at all. We are bringing something new, that is called as a disruptive technology, which means it throws everything into the wind what we have till now, and a new, entirely new spectrum of things come our way. Let's take examples. I want to hear from you. Can you give me an example of incremental technology based on what little knowledge you have? Any products, any process, any innovation which is incremental in nature. Ayush, Abhishek, can you give me some answers? Which of the, any real life examples you can think of innovation? Anyone? So let's take few examples. Gillette blades. Now, there were 2 blades, then they said 3 blades, then they said 4 blades, now they are saying 5 blades. Basically what are they doing? They are adding one blade. Is it new technology? Probably not, right? So basically that is a perfect example of incremental technology. Let's take new flavors of Coke. Basic Coke existed. Then you had a new flavor of Coke coming in. There's a Coke Blue which was given few years back, almost, in fact not even few. It was about 10 years back when India's World Cup was happening back in India, 2011. That's 12 years back. There is a sherry flavored Coke which is used, or rather which is kept only for one individual in this world. It's a very interesting story. I have heard, I don't know how true it is, but I've heard this in many places. You heard of Berkshire Hathaway, one of the well-known big firms, and the head of that is Warren Buffett. You heard of him? So he is one of the major investors in this, company called Coke, right? They used to have one flavor called sherry flavored Coke, which was a disaster, by the way. It didn't do really well at all. Now this gentleman somehow loved that flavor. So the company decided that we will discontinue this flavor, and just because he was a major shareholder and a person who is at his stature, because of him, they maintained a supply chain only for him to have that flavor of Coke. But again, that's a side story, funny, interesting story. The point here is you are giving or coming up with new flavors, nothing great, already Coke existed, you are adding just a flavor in it. That's incremental. New models in mobiles. Mobile phone per se could be argued as disruptive, or it could be argued as a breakthrough technology. But the newer models that are coming in, iPhone 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, whatever. I don't know how many, I think it's iPhone 14 right now. I don't use an iPhone, I have an Android. I'm an OnePlus guy, by the way. So, but again, where are we? iPhone 14, iPhone 15, iPhone 16, whatever that is, it's just an increment. Once they say that there are 3 lenses, then they say there are 4 lenses, then they'll say 5 lenses, then they'll come back and say 1 big lens equivalent to all the 5 lenses, whatever, right? But yeah, that is again incremental. What is breakthrough then? Let's take 1 or 2 examples of breakthrough. Dyson, I don't know how many of you know this company called Dyson. Dyson is into vacuum cleaners, electronic No, actually it's electrical. It's an electrical equipment manufacturing company, household equipment, Dyson hair curlers, and all of that kind of things. So they came up with this innovative technology at once, saying that look, one of the problems of vacuum cleaners is that you need to take a bag and carry it and empty it, and that's a process. Can we have a vacuum cleaner which does not require a bag? That is disruptive. The technology did not exist early or before. They invented it, but what was it doing the job? It was doing the job of vacuum cleaning, which is already existing. So disruptive is that the job existed, but you're bringing in new technology to do it. So that is breakthrough. That's an example. Office 365. So one of purchase to subscription, subscription iPhone. So in fact, both of this. Office 365 also, they earlier used to have purchase. It's a process now. This is not a product change, this is a process change. So I'm giving you examples in different ways, not just in products, not just in physical products. For example, if you look at Office 365, I don't know how many of you know this, 10, 12 years back, you can buy it and that is yours forever. Now it's a subscription, yearly subscription. So the same technology, the same product, they are giving it you by changing the process in which you purchase. Okay, what happened because of that? Basically your cost has gone down. Your sales will increase simply because the person is going to buy it and keep it and use it as long as he needs. If he doesn't need it, the subscription will expire and you don't have to go on. Similarly, if you're looking at iPhone in US, in India we buy it outright, but in US it comes with a subscription with and a company, AT&T or some such telephone company will be having a tie-up with iPhone, and they will give it to you at a very cheap price compared to what we get in India. But then you are stuck with that particular mobile company, or rather not mobile, the telephone operator for about 12 months or 24 months. So that's a new way of packaging things. And finally, disruptive. When you had a feature phone, the idea of sending an email from your phone did not exist. That idea itself did not exist. That is where smartphones came in. They now allowed you to do a video call, which did not exist before. They allow you to access, websites, do things on the go. Lot of things which were not even existing before. You had a bank account. You had to go to the bank and then check your bank statement. You have to go to an ATM or check your bank statement. Now, with the advent of smartphones, you can do it because of the various features that the smartphone allows you to do. You can do it sitting in your home. This did not exist earlier. So such kind of technology changes is called as disruptive. Netflix is again beautiful example. Of course, BYJU'S is another example. Cryptocurrency did not exist. Now it is doing wonders. So these are called as your breakthrough technology. We are all Android lovers, Neeraj. Yes, till you have money, I guess. But I still love Android a lot. iPhone, I don't know how many iPhone lovers are there. Please don't hate me, but iPhone comes up with technology 2 years late and say that, yay, we have done it. Android has already done it and moved on. And after 2 years, iPhone comes and says, look, new tech is in the market, but that's actually not new. Electric cars, very good Ayush. Electric cars, disruptive, right? That technology did not exist earlier. You're bringing in Netflix. I don't know how many of you know the story of Netflix. I don't know how many of you even knew the world before Netflix, because way back when I was in college, we had DVDs. We had to purchase DVDs. Do you guys even buy DVDs nowadays? Do you even buy music anymore, guys? Yeah, they used to sell DVDs. But do you guys buy it? Ayush, Neeraj and others? No, none of you buy it. So I used to buy, I used to rent. They were rental services where they used to come home, deliver a DVD and then take my existing DVD and go, rent it for 5 days, take this back, give me another one. So there are many such things. And Netflix came in and wiped them all out, saying that, look, why do you need a DVD? I will bring the entire setup to your home. That is disruptive. Okay? So that's the whole idea. These are the 3 terms that we are learning for today. As I said, I'm not going to give you only theory. UPI, yes, UPI. There are many examples, guys. I'm not saying these are the only ones. Definitely, UPI is a disruptive technology. It didn't exist before. Imagine how many digital payments we are able to do. How our life. So I have literally stopped carrying my wallet now for the last 2-3 years. I'm in Bangalore, so it's a lot more in Bangalore. I don't have to carry my mobile phone, my wallet anywhere. I just have to take my mobile phone. I need to have, of course, cash in my bank and buy whatever I want. Everybody, from a vendor who's selling me something for 5 rupees to a vendor who's selling me something for 50,000. I can just snap it if I have money in my bank. So it's changed the way in which we live. Facebook, Anshuman, Facebook is not disruptive because there was something similar to Facebook before. There is a company called, or a social network called Orkut. I don't know how many of you know it. Anybody know it? Heard of it? Orkut, yes. So Facebook, I will not call it disruptive. I would probably call it incremental, because Orkut had certain features. Facebook is the next level of that. MySpace was also there, but MySpace came after Orkut, if I'm not mistaken. ChatGPT can be disruptive. Yes, ChatGPT can be, it can be disruptive, it can be breakthrough, depending upon how would you like to look at it. Because generative algorithms were there, artificial intelligence, the whole idea of machine learning was existing. It is not that it wasn't existing. It was existing. So I would not call it disruptive per se, but definitely I can call it as a breakthrough. Okay. Ayushman, MySpace was before Orkut or after Orkut, not really sure. I agree, I don't remember that, but I remember using Orkut during my college days way back in 2002, 2003. I remember using Orkut at that point, but it came into fashion and then died very quickly, and then Facebook came on. But anyway, let's move on. Now, we're going to practice few questions, and I'm going to give you a lot more theory along with the questions. Guys, in my sessions, I believe that if I only keep talking, you will start falling asleep. So what I'll do is, I'll talk a little. So I gave you first 5, 10, 15 minutes of theory. Now we will take questions and understand theory from there. So when I take every question, I'm also going to give you the background news of it. So don't look at the session only as questions. There is question, and I'm going to give you the theory behind it also. Clear? Ready? Nothing to calculate. So just be ready with your answers. If you know, if you don't worry, I'll give you the theory behind it. The first question is very simple. Give me the answer to this. Taking into the understanding of ownership of a firm. That's what it means. Let's go ahead and understand the basics of this. If you know the answer already from commerce background students, you should be able to answer this. If you don't, anyway, I'll give you the idea. What is the answer to this? Vedang, Tahseen, Ayush. Anyone? Okay, I've got a B, I've got a C. 2 B's and 2 C's. Nobody for A and D? Alright guys, let's see. The correct answer is option C. That's your correct answer. Let us understand first of all what are the terms in this. So I hope all of you are carrying a book and a pen or a pencil for that matter. I'm going to talk about certain terms. If you know, skip it. If you don't know, please note it down. Firstly, when you're talking about business, there is a business owner, right? A business owner, the person who starts this idea. When you want to start with any idea, you need to first put some money to make that idea into a reality. For example, if you want to make usually you don't start with a manufacturing unit because you need crores and crores, hundreds and crores of units to set up a manufacturing plant. Let's take a simple idea of, let's say I want to take pani puri, or as they say, golgappa, whatever you call it. I want to start a stall of pani puri. That's my idea. I know that a lot of people in my area love pani puri. They don't get good, really good pani puri. I am in Bangalore. I really love pani puri, but I don't get really good pani puri here. So I have 2 or 3 good ideas. I can start with these ideas. But what is the first thing I need? I need some investment to keep that thela, to keep that cart. I need to purchase the raw material which will make me the product which is pani puri. I need that tumbler where I can put water, I need to buy the ingredients, I need to put all this. That money you put is called as capital. The money you put initially for the running of the business is called as capital. Okay? This basically will result in equity. This will result in equity. Now, what is equity? Equity is the percentage share that you have. So, if I am running a thela or I am running a pani puri stall, I put all the money, I own 100% of it. I own 100% of it. Let us say I and my wife together put it, and she put 50 rupees, I put 40 rupees. Or rather, let's take easy numbers. She put 60 rupees, I put 40 rupees. And total investment is 100. So the total capital is 100 rupees. So equity should also be 100%, but who should get how much? My wife will be 60% owner and I will be 40% owner. So equity talks about what share I have in the business. Simple enough. So we explained the meaning of equity. Okay, so equity is the ownership of asset that may have debts or liabilities attached to them. Now look at this. Debt and liability, we'll get to that. But first you understood equity. It is ownership of an asset. Asset is something which is which you have, which you can make money from. What is the meaning of an asset? Again, a new word. An asset is something which is beneficial for you and it can help you make money directly or indirectly. Right? For example, pani puri, that ingredient is directly an asset because when I sell it, I'll get money. Whereas I can call the stall as an asset too. Why is it an asset? Not because I'm going to sell it. I can't sell it because if I sell it, my business will be over. But how is it called? Why is it called an asset? Because I am making money using it. So I'm not getting money exactly for it. I'm getting money for selling something else, but that something is making use of this stall. So basically an asset is something which you make use of directly or indirectly and generate revenue or potential for revenue, right? That's called as an asset. Then debt, of course, is nothing but loan. Debt is very easy, it is a loan. What about liability? Liability is something which you pay or you owe somebody else. Ideally, liability is something that you owe somebody else. For example, if you give me 10 rupees, it means that loan that you gave me is my liability because I am obligated to give it back to you with interest probably. So that loan which I am supposed to repay is called as a liability. Now when I start a business, I can start the business. Capital is what money came into the business. The entire money that came into the business. It can be in two ways. The money can come in two ways. It can come through investors. Investors are people who are putting money like I and my wife in the example, nobody else. Or it can also be through loan. So let us say I and my wife, we need 100 rupees to start this pani puri shop, but we don't have 100 rupees. She has 40, I have 20, 60 only total. But I still need 40. Where will I get that 40? I will take a loan. That will be called as debt or a liability. But it will be counted under the capital because what is the total capital going into the business? Total is 100. Out of which 60 is equity. 60% is through equity. Equity means ownership. 40% is through debt. 40% is through debt. Now in this 60% equity, how much percent actually belongs to me and how much belongs to my wife? So if she puts 40, I put 20. So in this 40 is to 20, so 2 is to 1 ratio. So whatever equity is, it is to be divided in the ratio of 2 is to 1. And the total money the total business, by the way, the business always belongs to investors only. It does not belong to the loan givers. It does not belong to the debt. Business always belongs to the owners. Even if you take a lot of debt, doesn't matter. Provided you are able to pay back the loan. So if the company makes profits, you will first pay the interest. The remaining profit will always go back to the investors. Okay? Clear? Any doubts in these topics, guys? I'm fine, Aditya. Thanks for asking. Okay, in whatever we discussed till now, any questions, any doubts, anyone? Right? Now what else? So first statement, equity is ownership of assets. Now how did I purchase the asset? Asset is purchased either through debt or liabilities or with my own money, whatever it is. Which means it is ownership, I will own. Even if I take debt and buy something, I will own, correct? And I will repay the debt, I will still own it. That is correct. Second, equity is the value of capital contributed by owners or stockholders. This is also correct. We already spoke about what is the meaning of equity. That is also correct. Third, equity is measured by subtracting liabilities from the value of assets. Now this is interesting. Let's take a look at it. Okay. If I take a simple example for you, the same Pani Puri example, let us say we put 150 rupees capital. In this, 100 rupees by me, 50 rupees debt. I took 50 rupees debt. Now, this will be called as liability. This will be called as equity. But what is 150 called as? 150 is the total capital. Now let us say using 150, I bought a cart. I bought a cart of 150 rupees. Now this is the asset. Correct? This is the asset. Do a simple math. What is asset minus liability equal to? Asset is 150 now, minus liability is 50. What is the remaining? 100. This is equity. So equity can also be measured as the difference between asset and liability. The difference between these two will be called as the equity. Is that clear? Now please keep in mind, here the liability does not include, because many of you commerce students will say, sir, but in balance sheet the total asset should be equal to the total liability. Friends, in that case you are already including liability as a part, equity as a part of your liability. But here we are basically saying that this liability here does not include the equity component. Without the equity, you take the liability, subtract from the asset, the remaining is called as your equity. Clear? You have an interview at IBS Hyderabad. That's very good, Aditya. All the best. Okay, so hence the answer is option C, 1, 2 and 3. Let's move on. I already explained all of this. So next question. This is something which it's more of GK and it's self-explanatory if you know the answer. So let's go ahead and see what is the correct answer to this. Any answers? Tahseen says all are correct. Let us see anybody else. Very good. The correct answer is D. First, you need to understand what is antitrust. Antitrust law. Now, antitrust laws are created by the governments of different countries to make sure that one company does not exploit its power. One company does not have undue advantage over its competitors and be in a position where everybody else is kicked out. That is the reason, or that is the logic that is what they want to stop from happening. Therefore, they bring in something called as antitrust law. So what do these antitrust laws do? First thing is, they are trying to stop the companies, basically protect the customers, such that predatory business practices are stopped. For example, if I come and say, today onwards, your mobile connections are free, what will happen? Everybody will switch to my mobile connection, my mobile company, because it's free. Everybody. So all other companies will go bankrupt. Now after 2 years, I say, now I'm the only guy. I'm now going to say 10,000 rupees per month. So that is basically a very extended example of predatory market practice. I am trying to, like a predator, trying to eat away my competition by doing some things which is not really sustainable over a long period of time, And once I gain a foothold, not even a foothold, once I become the largest or monopoly for that matter, I will now set the terms of conditions according to my wish. So such actions should be stopped, and that's what just like Jio. No, Neeraj, Jio, frankly speaking, was it predatory? Now, what you need to understand is a promotional offer cannot be called as predatory. Everybody gives a discount, but it is for a limited amount of time. Now, whether that limited amount of time is 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, well, I am not the person to talk about it because there are certain rules regarding it. If the rules are changed, that's a different issue. But Jio stuck to the rules. Please keep that in mind. It's a different issue. The rules were made before Jio entered, or changed before Jio entered. But yes, it stuck to the rules. Anyway, let's move on. So that's about antitrust laws. Then they prevent monopoly and ensure fair competition. That's what I explained to you. They make sure that there is no monopoly. For example, let us say I have, let's take a typical example. Yes, Tahseen, that's basically what companies can do if you're a monopoly. But let's take an example, a very cinematic example. Let us say I'm in a marketplace and I want to sell coconuts. And I have 10 thugs behind me and I say nobody can sell coconuts, only I will sell. So I'm using force to create a monopoly. Nobody can sell it. So if anybody wants to buy, they have to come to me. Automatically I'm becoming a monopoly. So the price it would have been 25, 30, 35 rupees. Now because nobody is allowed to sell, I will start selling it at 100 rupees. Is it fair? Clearly not. So the government has to step in to say that, look, you cannot do that. You are using unnatural forces to basically get a foothold, or not foothold, to get the monopoly of the market. So these laws prevent such things from happening. Now I give you a dramatic example of force. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be through many ways. For example, if I am, okay, let's say there are two companies and they merge together and they become one company. Let's say so there are two big companies which combine. So let's say one company 1 has 45% market share, company 2 has 40% market share. When you combine these two, they'll become 85%. It's a monopoly, more or less. So you are the biggest market player and you can set the price according to what you want. So there are laws against such merging. So when you are merging two companies, you have to pass the antitrust laws. It's like a test. Are you creating an entity which can become a monopoly or not? So such laws exist. So all these laws are created to make sure that the customers are saved. Okay? Microsoft can be considered as a monopoly again, Microsoft is in many products. Which product are you talking about? For operating systems, yeah, there are cases it's fighting anyway. It says it's not a monopoly, but there are enough cases that it's fighting in that regard. So it's for the courts to decide whether it's a monopoly or not. But frankly, in terms of usage, yes, all the retail users. But again, there is iOS or Mac also, operating system, which is what do you call it? Macintosh, Mac operating system. So you can't really say Windows is a monopoly anymore. It used to be at one point in time, but Apple has come up and taken a fair share of the market, both in terms of, especially in terms of value, may not be in terms of volume, but value for sure. Because Windows is cheaper, but it sells a lot of units. Apple is costlier, sells relatively less number of units, but overall value could be ending up higher than Windows. Anyway, so I don't think Windows can be called as a monopoly now anymore, but yes, in small regions it might be a monopoly because the Mac users are less. Okay? Now there is a difference in antitrust policy among countries. This is true because it depends on what is the meaning of a monopoly. Somebody says 90% market share is called as a monopoly. Somebody says 70 is enough for me. So it depends from country to country. So yes, this is also true. The difference in antitrust policies stem from different ideas on what constitutes a monopoly. That is the explanation for the third point. So all of them are true. Therefore, D is correct. Clear? Let's move on to the next question. Okay. This is a nice, interesting area called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This was asked last year also. you need to know the basic 5 steps in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. What is the answer to this? Yes, the correct answer is C. Can you tell me which one is missing? There are 5 actually, but you have only 4. What is missing in this? Oh, okay. So there is 4. My bad. Nothing is missing. My bad. My bad. So let's start with it. The first is psychological needs. So first, before we go into psychological needs, first understand what is this Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So this person Maslow basically did a lot of research experiments to understand what motivates a human being to be a good person, to be a good employee, to be basically good at certain things. In life, what are the things, how does a person think? When do you think about certain aspects in your life? What are the first most important things that you worry about? Then what will you think about next? Then what will you think about next? So there is a hierarchy of needs. Okay? Yeah, social need I think is missing. Now the first need is something called as a psychological need. So what is psychological need? Basically it's survival. Roti, kapda, makan. Basic food, basic clothes, basic place to stay. Very basic survival needs. These are called as psychological needs, survival needs. Once you have this, then you'll think about the next thing. What is the next thing? The next thing is safety. So now I can live, but can I live safely? These kind of needs, this thinking will be the next level of thinking, which is called as safety needs. I'm not getting too much into theory of it, because if you get into the B school, there will be, I'm pretty sure, an entire semester that is going to be devoted, trimester at least, that will be devoted to this. So you'll have enough learning from your OB, that is operational behavior and organizational behavior and human resource professor. I'm not going to do their job, but I'm just giving you a basic idea. Okay. Second is safety needs, right? Once the safety needs are done, then you will come to a social need, which is missing. Okay. What are social needs? Social needs are bonds. See, first survival. Then can I survive safely for a duration of time? Then you'll start thinking about, okay, I need relationships, I need friendship, I need family, I need bonds with people, I need to have a network. These are called as social needs. Social need is missing in this, but it's a 4 MCQ, so 4 choice questions, so only 4 were given. That is the third need. Then comes the esteem need. So now you have survival is taken care, safety is taken care, you have a nice society, you have friends, you have loving family. The next level will be called as esteem need. So now you have all these people, it's about now how do they value you. So your value or your perception in the community and your perception of your own self. Are you, so how important you think you are to others, how important you feel as an individual. These come under the esteem needs. So the word they use is ego needs. Not a bad term, by the way. Ego is not always bad. Sometimes a little bit of ego is good. So these are the kind of needs. And then finally, when you have everything in life, self-actualization. So basically you're talking about what is my purpose in life. You can't think about what is your purpose in life when you're dying of hunger. So after all these 4 needs are met, what are the 4 needs? First is psychological, second is safety, third is social, fourth is esteem, and the 5th one is self-actualization need. So once these 4 needs are met, then you will think about, oh, is there a God? Where are we alone? What is my purpose? Am I fulfilling my purpose? Am I doing the right thing, doing this job? Am I born for something else? Am I doing something good for my family? Is that what I'm supposed to teach them? All these questions will come to you later. So such kind of things are called as self-actualization needs. Clear? So these are called as, this is called as a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now why was this important? Why was this created? Because he realized that money alone will not be enough to motivate a person. So if a person understands, if I'm a manager, I need to understand what things my team is going through who are reporting to me, and not just giving them money is not sufficient at times, because money, there are different needs a person has to fulfill to do a certain role. So if money is going to be only one, is going to take care of only one need. Probably money cannot take care of my esteem needs. It probably cannot take care of my social needs. It can probably take care of my safety. It can probably take care of my psychological needs. So which means if somebody is unhappy despite money, there is something more that the person is looking at. And if the person is unhappy, then probably the work will get affected. So if there is something that I can do to help him, I need to understand this logic behind. And in that research, human resources is basically what it talks about. So that is where all this research has come up, and that's what he came up with. Anyway, let's move on. The answer is C. So this was done. Yeah, we answered. Okay, now there's an example of reason assertion. There's no theory behind it. It's just logic. Read the question and give me an answer to this. Please go ahead. What is the answer? So look at it, assertion and reason. So assertion is a fact. First you have to check, is it a fact or not? So which means you have to have general awareness to a certain extent. And reason is this the reason why this fact has happened? The reason means, is this the reason why the fact has taken place? Please keep that in mind. Now the assertion, the fact that talking about is harsh sanctions have been imposed on Russia after its invasion of Ukraine, which is correct. If you have read what happened over the last 1 year, you will realize that there are a lot of sanctions which have been imposed on Russia. What is the reason for these sanctions, or what is the reason for this invasion? Whichever way you look at it, this is definitely not the reason. The ruble has crashed and the Kremlin is scrambling. This is true. There was a turmoil in the Russian economy. The ruble has crashed. All this was true. But that is not the reason why harsh sanctions were imposed or the war is happening. That's not the reason. So the reason is incorrect. Both of them are facts. So that's option B. Both A and R statements are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. R should explain why A happened. Please keep in mind. Reason should explain why A has happened. Okay? That's the way in which the questions come. Right? So next question, one more. Take a look at this. Tell me what is the correct answer to this. Very good. Here also the correct answer is B. Swiggy, a food delivery app in India, recently edged into their rank at 10.7 billion. That is true. They crossed 10 billion. Decacorns are unicorns valued at 10 billion or above. That is also true. By the way, this came in one of the last year's questions. What is the meaning of a decacorn? Decacorn is something which crosses 10 billion in valuation. Right? Both of them are facts. But this is not the reason for the Swiggy being, it's just a definition of a decacorn. How can a definition become the reason? Obviously, it's absurd. So, both are true statements, but the reasoning is not correct. That's the answer. Okay? Next. Look at it. Entry barriers to monopoly. Interesting question. Let us discuss a little bit about entry barriers. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. First of all, what is an entry barrier? First, let's understand what is the meaning of an entry barrier from the context of a monopoly. So first of all, a monopoly is a marketplace where there is majorly one person or one business selling things. There will be others which are very, very small. A strict monopoly is only one, but realistically a monopoly does not exist in this world. But yeah, you have near cases of monopoly where 90% of the market is occupied by one or sold by one person or one business, and the remaining small percentage of 2 to 3% are sold by many small people. So what stops or what are the entry barriers? Entry barriers means something which is stopping others to do the same thing as this big business. So what are these entry barriers? What could be an entry barrier? If you understand what could be, you will understand which of this is not an entry barrier. For example, legal. If the government, so way back in 1990s, during the time called as a license Raj in India, you could not produce whatever you want randomly like that. You first have to go to the government. The government will see what you're producing, is it useful to the people or not? Then they'll give you a license. How many can you produce? And only those you can produce. So that was a very different era at that point in time during the 1990s, 1980s to 1990s, 1990 mid 1990s also I believe. Now during that time, nobody could come into the car market, let's say, because cars were considered a luxury at that point. So the government used to say, look, a luxury product, why are you wasting resources on it? We need more food. So go and make food if you want. So it means the company which is already making cars will not have any more competition, because there's one car company, the government says, look, one company is enough or two companies are enough. I don't need a third company doing the same thing. You go and do something else. I'm not even letting you come in. So that is a legal or political, I don't know what word you can use it, but that is one way of artificially creating a monopoly. Then let's take another example. Technological monopoly. What is the meaning of technology monopoly? Let's say tomorrow morning I invent something called as teleportation. I invent something called as teleportation and I patent it, which means nobody can use that technology. So that market now of going from A to B in seconds, I'm the monopoly. Nobody can come because the technology belongs to me. Nobody can use it. So patents and new technology can be an entry barrier. Patents can be if the technology can be copied, but I'm stopping others from copying. But if the technology is so complicated, like Iron Man's the core suit, what is that called as? What he had an arc reactor. Yes, Iron Man's arc reactor. Okay. Now, if he was so brilliant that only he could create it, and it was very difficult for the others to even look at and create it. In the first Iron Man movie, there's a famous statement. The scientist, that guy, the villain, I don't remember his name. He says he made it. Tony Stark made it with a pile of with a bunch of crap sitting in a cave. Why can't you do it? So the scientist says, I'm not Tony Stark. He is the mind. I don't have his mind. So when you don't have that kind of a mind, the technology cannot be copied by you, even if it is existing for you to see. That itself is a natural monopoly. Okay? Then of course, there is brand loyalty. iPhone users don't switch to any other phone. Mac users, once you start using Mac, you don't want to come back to Windows or any other operating system. Brand loyalty is once again a monopoly creation. It can create monopolies. All these people who use Mac will not go back, and more people start using Apple. Automatically Apple will start becoming a monopoly because they don't want to switch back. But biological is not one of these reasons. Biological monopoly does not exist per se. Okay, but there are a lot of other monopolies. For example, economies of scale. What about economies of scale? So let's say I am producing let's say 1 lakh cars. I'm producing 1 lakh cars. Now, I'll be able to sell these 1 lakh cars because I will procure 1 lakh cars worth of equipment. I'll purchase 4 lakh tires because 1 into 4, or probably 1 into 5 because there's a stepney also. I'll produce 1 lakh steering wheels. So when I go to my suppliers, I can negotiate talk in bulk and get a best price. But somebody who wants to compete with me, who can't sell 1 lakh cars, let's say he wants to sell only 10,000 cars, he will not be able to get the same price that I am getting. He will not be able to get the same price that I am getting. So what is he supposed to do? He cannot negotiate, which means his cost price will increase, automatically his selling price will increase. Because his selling price is increasing, people will not go to him, they will come to me. This is one way of getting a monopoly. Okay, Obadiah, yes Sachin, good. So this is the way in which you can create monopolies, right? So the answer is biological, A, B and D can lead to monopolies. Okay, so guys, we'll stop it here. I've been told that this is a 1 hour session and I've been able to cover about 5 or 6 questions. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. If you've liked the session, please make sure to give me a like today without fail. I'll come back to you with the second session with a lot more information, fun tidbits, and we'll love to have feedback from you in the comments. I'll see you soon in the next one. Thank you, my friends, and all the very best.